All right, time to break down the latest in college football with the great Paul Stone, Paul Stone Sports. You can check out, of course, all his college football picks throughout the season. Does a fantastic job each and every year, going on local, national radio, and shows like ours as well. And it is Thursday, so that is our weekly visit with Paul. And Paul, it is great to have you back here on NewsWire. And I think what's going to be fun throughout the season is that we're going to have so many great matchups in college football to break down every week. But as I look at the next 10 weeks, I think this is the only week of the college football season where I'm like, ooh, I mean, I know you love football, Paul, and you love college football, so you can bring us up to that level. But I only see one major game on the schedule this week.
I'll tell you, Craig, we had such a special week one card. I mean, you had three top 10 matchups pitting top 10 teams. So six of the top 10 teams pitted against one another, obviously highlighted by the Ohio State Texas game with the LSU Clemson game and the Notre Dame Miami game not far behind. And obviously this week's a letdown. It's not quite the same card, but like you kind of referenced, for me, any weekend with college football is a great weekend. So I love the games, and many of us do. So we'll get through this week, and sometimes some great games kind of pop up out of nowhere on the card. So that's what we'll hope for. But good to be back, and good to be headed towards the second weekend of the college football season.
Yeah, and I would love your opinion on this marquee game that's set to go off on Saturday night between Michigan and Oklahoma. Smart scheduling by those two teams, taking it easy in the first week. The line I see right now here currently, correct me if I'm wrong, Oklahoma -5.5, total of 45.5. It's the 15th ranked team versus the 18th ranked team going into the season. So obviously things change with teams, and quite the pressure I think on both teams. Sharon Moore, I know the head coach is going to coach in this game despite everything that happened in the offseason. How do you foresee this matchup going on Saturday night?
Yeah, mostly fives out there right now. Some 5.5s though, probably pretty well split, I should say, on the line. But first of all, Oklahoma's going to be better this year, no question about it. But a decisive. The question is, how much better will the Sooners be? A decisive 35-3 win over FCS Illinois State this past weekend doesn't really tell us much, Craig, in my opinion. This is an Illinois State team that prior to scoring 3 points this past Saturday against Oklahoma had been shut out in its previous 3 games versus FBS opposition, and that includes a 40-0 loss to Iowa last year. Iowa offensively challenged Iowa, had almost 500 yards against Illinois State last year. So just kind of putting that 35-3 victory in perspective there. Michigan, on the other hand, they're very good as an away underdog, kind of a small sample size, but they're 4-1 against the spread since 2020 as an away underdog. They've won 3 of those games outright, including 2 in Columbus versus Ohio State. While Oklahoma was making easy work against Illinois State, Michigan, pretty fairly lackluster 34-17 victory over New Mexico. They led by 14 at the half, did the Wolverines. Never really pressured. They were always in control. They did rush for over 200 yards, pass for over 200 yards. Bryce Underwood, their 5-star true freshman quarterback, gave glimpses of why every blue blood program in the country recruited him. And he'll look, he'll progress as the year goes on. This line, looking at the line of 5.5, infers that on a neutral field, Oklahoma will be favored by 2 points over Michigan. And I just don't see that. I've got Michigan slightly pie-rated ahead of Oklahoma. I actually made this line Oklahoma -2.5. So I think this is a pretty good bit of points to be given the Wolverines here. One other tidbit: when the line's 7 points or fewer, whether Oklahoma's been the favorite or the underdog, a line of 7 or less, Brent Venables only 3-10 against the spread at Oklahoma. And also Oklahoma's quarterback, John Mateer, really burst on the scene last year at Washington State, but he's never played a defense the caliber of Michigan. I think he's going to be he's stepping up in class. He's going to make some plays because he's a great player, but this is a different level of animal that he's going up against on Saturday. I like Michigan +5.5 over the Sooners.
All right, underdog city, Saturday night in the marquee game. Meanwhile, a couple of really marquee teams in college football. Baylor, of course, had their hands full, Paul, in week one. And boy, SMU, a team that I don't think we talk about enough. They just keep winning. They changed conferences a couple of years ago. They're ranked 17th in the country. Very, very light favorite at home, which tells you that this could be a very close game, Paul, right down to the wire. I see SMU here minus 2.5, money line minus 128. And look at the total, 63.5. So as you said, maybe we don't have the marquee game, but we could have a lot of fun watching this game on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, this is one of those under the radar games, Craig, that could be very entertaining, to put it mildly. And first of all, Baylor didn't get the easy schedule memo. You know, a lot of teams start out with the flyweight, so to speak. Baylor instead, they opened at home this past Friday against Auburn. Auburn really ran the ball effectively on the Bears, getting the victory there in Waco. Auburn rushed for 307 yards, 5.9 yards per carry. Baylor now fighting to avoid an 0-2 start as they travel to Dallas to play SMU. I'm very impressed with SMU. I mean, they made the playoffs last year. They've got an extremely well-funded NIL program, but they've lost some key players from last season. Their 1,300-yard rusher, Brashard Smith, his eligibility has expired. Lost their top two receivers. Tight end R.J. Maryland, they didn't lose him, but he was injured, suffered an ACL injury early last year, was limited in preseason camp this season, did not play in their opener against East Texas A&M. I don't think he's going to play against Baylor, and he's a big-time weapon for the Ponies. Hope he can get on the field here soon. SMU offensively, they only average 4.2 yards per carry against East Texas A&M of the FCS. So they're not going to be able to run the ball quite like Auburn did, in
Mm-hmm.
my opinion. Defensively, they only returned 3 of their top 10 tacklers, so they've got some holes to fill on defense as well. Baylor, on the other hand, this is a well-oiled passing attack and offense engineered by Sawyer Robertson. Didn't even begin last season as Baylor's starting quarterback, but still threw for over 3,000 yards. Opened the season against Auburn by throwing for 419 yards and 3 touchdowns. Has his top receiver from last year, Josh Cameron, back. They kind of identified wide receiver two, Texas State transfer, a guy named Cole Wilson, had 8 receptions for 134 yards against Auburn. I think Baylor's going into SMU, getting the victory at Gerald J. Ford Stadium. Baylor plus 2.5 over SMU.
All right, so Baylor, SMU, there you have it, minus 2.5 going into Saturday's game. All right, Paul, we got a couple of minutes left. My gosh, what a great scene it was in Clemson on Saturday night, and then things just went sideways in the second half for them. They're 33.5-point favorites against Troy. I know what they're going to want to do, but can they get that done, that 33.5-point spread? They're going to win the game, but can they win like that?
I'll tell you, Clemson's now lost 4 of their past 5 season openers, a couple of those to Georgia, and then this past weekend, as you mentioned, to LSU. So they played good people. When you have a spread this large, a lot of people gloss over these large spreads, don't really look at these games. But Clemson has done a good job of bouncing back from these season opening defeats. The last 3 times, they've responded by scoring 49, 66, and 66 points. So I think Cade Klubnik and company, I think they're going to want to pour it on, be in that kind of mood after scoring just 10 points and gaining 261 total yards against LSU this past weekend. Might be without their top receiver, Antonio Williams, but they've got plenty of weapons to take care of Troy. I think they're going to put it on the Trojans. I like Clemson to win big by 5 touchdowns or more. I like Clemson minus the points over Troy on Saturday.
Great stuff, as always, Paul. Thanks for spending some time with us here on Sports Grid. Check out Paul at Paul Stone Sports. Get yourself all signed up for his membership for the season. Paul, thanks again for coming on the show. Really appreciate it.
Hey, thank you, Craig. Y'all have a great weekend.